Child identity fraud is a serious problem in the U.S., according to a new AARP-sponsored report by Javelin Strategy and Research, which explores threats in the digital financial world. The study found that losses tied to child ID fraud reached $680 million from July of 2021 to July of 2022. Most of the victims of child ID fraud, 67%, knew the perpetrator. Resolving the fraud took families an average of 16 hours, which is 7 hours longer than when adults are victimized.
Good evening and welcome to this month's edition of Rural America Live with AARP. We are so glad you're with us. I'm Christina Loren. Tonight we're going to uncover how children are the targets of identity theft and what you can do to protect our little ones. We're also going to reveal the top holiday scams that you need to know about just ahead of Thanksgiving. And we want to remind you, you're a big part of this show. We want to hear from you tonight. Our question of the month is, how many of you think your grandchildren know how scams work? Give us a call and let us know. We've got a two-part question for you, in fact. Our second part is this: do you ever talk about scams with your grandchildren? We would love to hear from you. And if you are bold enough to join our conversation, you might just be helping someone else. And we're giving away a cooler to 5 random on-air callers tonight. You could be a winner. This is a quality hard cooler. Give us a call at 877-283-7570. I'll give you an opportunity to grab a pen. 877-283-7570 is the number to call. As a friendly reminder, you don't need to be a member of AARP or over the age of 50 to win, but you can only win one time each calendar year. We do want to let those who are winners know that AARP will call you back using the number that you called from. It may not be tonight, but they will call you in the next few days to confirm your mailing address. If you're a past winner, you haven't received your cooler yet, be sure to return their call. We want to make sure you get it. And good news, AARP will cover the shipping cost as well. Our phone lines are open now. We want to hear from you again. That number is 877-283-7570. Join our conversation. We're ready to take your call right now. And joining us tonight, our special guest from AARP, Oklahoma State Director Sean Boskell, and Amy Knopfziger, Director of the AARP Fraud Victim Support. Wow, you know, you both have been on the show so many times. I'm really excited about the information that we get to unpack ahead of the holidays because it's so critical this time of year. And it's easy to kind of get swept up in the moment this time of year because things seem to be moving so fast. Yeah. So we need to kind of slow down and talk about this tonight. It's great to have you back on the show. It's unfortunate that we do have to talk about our kids being the targets. It's unfortunate that these are our youngest, most vulnerable Americans, and it seems like people are just getting craftier and craftier as they come up with new scams, luring them with fake shopping sites, for example, scholarship offers, and more. Amy, tell us a little bit about what your survey revealed. What did you find?
Yeah, so we found some really interesting stuff because usually when we're on here, we're talking about older adults, right? Yes. And we don't think about children when it comes to frauds and scams. But with the survey, we found out that over 1 million kids were targeted by criminals online this past year. And the FBI in 2021 received 15,000 reports of scams from people ages 19 and younger, and they had losses over $100 million. Oh
my goodness.
And you mentioned the holidays. I think this is a perfect time with the holidays coming up to have these conversations with your grandchildren, right? You're sitting around the Thanksgiving table, you're sitting around the holiday table. Ask them about these scams. Ask them, share your story tonight and share with us questions that you're going to ask them at the Thanksgiving table about how they're protecting themselves.
Absolutely, because the scammers are getting smarter. They're using text messaging, emails. They're trying any way that they possibly can. 877-283-7570 is the number to call. And what's interesting is child ID fraud is extremely underreported as well. Yeah. So those are the numbers that we know about.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, take the number of 100 million that I said, multiply it probably by 20. Because as you said in the opening, a lot of the children's identities are stored by people they know. So, right, like, well, how's the kid gonna report their uncle stealing their identity? Right, so it is really a big problem when we all need to pay attention to it.
Wow, oh my goodness. 877-283-7570. 7570. All right. So what do we do, Sean? What's the best way to protect our kids and our grandkids?
Well, it's really important to know what your kids and grandkids are doing online.
Yes.
And so if they must be on the internet, if they're online, there's some things you need to set in place, those boundaries. So let's have rules and boundaries if you're going to be on the internet so much. So let's educate ourselves and children how to care for yourself and be safe online. Don't accept friend requests from people they don't know. Do not provide personal information online, and really monitor their social media habits and usage. And that'll really help them not become a victim. I think the second one's real important. Monitor children's online activity. Since it's going to happen more to kids online, it's important that we really scrutinize their activity, and so we know what's going on. And be really careful about that. The third one, be careful about what you and your children post on social media. Don't put your address, age, what school they go to. Those are just some easy things that you don't think about that could really have lasting impacts. And we were talking a little bit earlier tonight about maybe a fourth red flag to watch out for, and that is really Social Security numbers. If your kids are asking you about your Social Security number, and like, what are you going to do with my Social Security number?
And don't forget, I think the important thing is like, we understand privacy, kids want privacy, but listen, you're paying that phone bill. Yes. You're paying that computer bill. They're living under your roof. Ask them questions and do a phone audit together. Who's this person? Why are you friends with them? Really get into it, and that's how these conversations can start.
Yeah, I will ask you though, I know you're a mom, Amy, and it's got to be hard. I mean, when it comes to social media, they have done studies that illustrate that it's almost like crack cocaine for kids. That's how addicted they are to their phones.
TikTok.
And so for them to think that you could possibly be monitoring them, that's got to be really difficult. How do you start these conversations and really make them feel like it is for their benefit?
Yeah, I mean, I think, again, it's come in a non-confrontational way.
Yeah.
See, I just read this new study about how, $100 million is lost in fraud every year to kids. Let's look at your phone together to make sure all your security settings are safe. Let's make sure your friends are safe. Let's make sure you're not putting any personal information out there. And again, I hate to say it, but money rules. I pay the bills. So if my kids are watching, I'm going to be checking your phone later.
I hope they are watching. You got to think about video games. They're playing these video games, and you got to pay to play sometimes. So they want the card, and you never know. You know who else wants that card number? Somebody on the dark web. So you got to be so careful tonight. And we may be sparking something in you tonight. If you are, maybe you have a situation you'd like to share with us that can help somebody else, a grandchild that you are concerned about, let us know. 877-283-7570. For me, my grandmother spoke life into me. She was so powerful in raising me. And a grandparent can make such a difference. So grandparents, please pay attention tonight. Amy.
And share their tips.
That's it.
Yeah.
And we always learn every time we ask, what tips are you using to protect yourself online? So please share those with us as well.
I can't wait to bring the viewers in. 877-283-7570. But Amy, talk a little bit about the scams that we're going to share in the next block. We've got celebrity scams. We've got Netflix scams coming your way tonight. Geek Squad scams.
Yeah, and all of the scams and the examples that we're going to share, they are affecting teens, young adults, and kids. But guess what? They're affecting us as well. So we all need to pay attention. But the celebrity imposter scam that I'm going to share with you guys tonight actually happened to me. I wasn't a victim, but I'm just going to show you how easy it is to get these text messages and these like DMs on Instagram and stuff. So I can't wait to share that, and hopefully people will share their stories with us.
Can you at least tease who the celebrity is?
The comedian Jim Gaffigan.
Ooh, whoa.
Yes.
He is somebody who's always doing comedy about his family, his kids. He seems wholesome, interesting. Where will this conversation go tonight? Stick around and find out. We're gonna take a quick break. Stay with us. We've got those top holiday scams coming your way as well that you really need to know about ahead of the holidays. Coolers to give away to 5 lucky on-air callers tonight. Could be you. Join our conversation. You're welcome here. 877-283-7570. We want you at this table. We'll be right back with more Rural America Live with AARP right after this.
Fraudsters use several tactics to target veterans and their families. Here are 2 scams that veterans and those serving need to watch out for. Members of the military who have obtained a VA mortgage should be especially wary of loan refinance offers. If you're in the market to refinance your loan, read the fine print of the offer and make sure you qualify for the rates and terms that are being advertised. It's important to ask questions up front so you won't be surprised later. You're in the market to rent a home and you see an online social media post for a property offering discounts for active duty military and veterans. They'll often make it easy for you to wire money for the security deposit and the place looks like it's all yours. Truth is, there's no property and you've lost your money. If possible, visit the property, or if you're out of town, have someone you know visit it for you before sending money or signing a contract. For more tips on how to avoid veteran scams, go to aarp.org/veterans. Amazon imposters are bombarding consumers with millions of robocalls, texts, and emails hoping to steal their money. Here is what to watch out for. You haven't placed an order, but you get an email or text that looks like it's from Amazon saying your order has been confirmed. You're then directed to click a link or call a number if the information is incorrect. Don't take the bait. You're notified about suspicious charges on your account and steps you need to take to address the issue. But taking these steps always spells trouble, so it's best not to engage or respond. You get a call or text saying a Prime account has been taken out in your name. You're requested to call a number to straighten things out, but that number goes to a scammer who's out to steal your money as well as your personal information. If you think you have an issue, contact Amazon directly. For more tips, go to aarp.org/fraudwatchnetwork.
Welcome back to Rural America Live with AARP. Do you know how to protect your children or grandchildren from scammers online? Do you know how to spot a fake text? It's difficult these days, but we've got the inside scoop on all the latest scams and how to spot them. And we have 5 coolers to give away to lucky on-air callers tonight. So give us a call at 877-283-7570 and join our conversation. You could be a winner. Joining us once again, Sean Voskuhl, State Director for AARP Oklahoma, and Amy Nofziger, Director of AARP's Fraud Helpline. We have not given away one cooler just yet, which means...
And they're not a scam.
Oh, that's right.
They're not a scam.
That's legitimate.
This is actually free.
This is free, and so is the shipping, and this is a really quality item as well.
No scam for that one. Not that one. We'll share other ones, but not that.
That's it. And if you don't need the cooler, I bet you can think of someone on your Christmas list who might benefit from that cooler. So it's that time of year to start thinking about Christmas, Thanksgiving, and holiday scams as well. We have callers waiting to get on the line, and I can't wait to hear from you tonight. We will go to the phones quickly, but first, Amy, you've got some great examples of tech scams that look real.
Yeah, absolutely. So first we have the Netflix one, and I'm sure everybody has gotten this, and we want to hear if you've gotten this scam. I mean, take a look at this. This looks so real. It says there's a problem with your account, and you know what? Many of us have Netflix, so this does seem real, right? And they want you to click on the link, and they'll take you to a website where you'll update your billing information. Obviously, it's just a scam. I mean, look at it. They use uppercase letters in the wrong spots. They say kindly update. I'm sorry, nobody says kindly update, right? So these are scams. Be very, very careful if you get these and just delete them. And Sean, you have a great email one too to share, right?
Yeah, that Geek Squad email. I want to know how many people have gotten that one. Let's take a look at that one. It looks pretty good, right? I mean, is your name Jose? It's Bonjour, Jose.
Bonjour, Jose.
It's a problem if you're not Jose.
Yeah.
And so, again, this one's out there a lot. If you've gotten it, delete it.
Yeah.
And we'll have more examples throughout the show. But I think this is great showing these examples that if you've seen these, does it look familiar to you? It's a scam, delete them.
You know what's tough for me is I get the FedEx scam, and it's like, and I have a package that I'm waiting on, and it's like, your package is not going to be on time, and so you want to click it, but it's like Amy points out, you have to check the return address, that return email address. That's the best way to pinpoint a scammer. I learned it from you. I've learned it from watching
Love
you.
sharing the knowledge.
We have our first caller tonight, Thomas from Oklahoma.
All right, good.
Joins us. Thanks for
He better
joining
get
us.
cooler then.
Thomas, what's on your mind tonight?
Hey, Christina, this is Thomas. Hey, Sean, how you doing?
Good, sir. How are you?
We spoke about a year ago, and I was talking about how I'd been robocalled by somebody that wanted to send somebody else my name and address for an IRS debt, $9,000, I think it was. And I'd asked you, okay, remember, guys, you, Christina and Sean, when I said in the Attorney General's office, the secretary said, what can I do about this? And she said nothing. You remember that, Christina?
I do remember that.
All right. You remember that, Sean?
Yes, sir.
All right. Sean, you are AARP.
Yes.
May I ask, sir, what has been done since then and since that year to alleviate such calls? That's my question.
You know, I think that's real important. We had a new election with a new attorney general in our state, and so we've already met with him to talk about how we can beef up the consumer protection unit in his office and how we can move forward. We passed some spoofing legislation with additional penalties this year, which just went into effect on November 1st. So I feel like we're working hard. You know, we can pass good laws, but the criminals aren't going to follow it. And it's important we have strong law enforcement. And I'm glad that we've had those conversations with our new attorney general, and some legislation that's passed as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And just one thing to keep in mind is that the criminals will always call you. You know, the government, the attorney generals can do whatever, but criminals don't follow the law. So sometimes we have to do things to protect ourselves. So if you do have a smartphone, I don't think I've shared this before, but there's a great new thing you can do is you can go into your settings. Go into your settings, and then in the little phone icon, have it send all unknown numbers to voicemail. So all numbers that are not in your contacts will go to voicemail and won't even get through to you. And I think that's a great tip to, one, just stop the phone from ringing, but then it lets you listen to that message to see if you even need to respond.
Love that.
Yeah.
Fantastic. I cannot believe that something exists like that.
Yeah.
I'm going to show my mother how to get
absolutely.
that.
Again, this is
Yes.
perfect for Thanksgiving. Show it to your kids.
Yes.
Show it to your grandparents. Show it to everyone, because we don't need to be called by people that we don't know.
No.
And again, go to settings.
Settings.
Okay.
And then phone icon, and then it'll say silence unknown callers.
I love that. Okay. All right.
That's a good one right there.
Thank you for that. You know what, Thomas? Thanks for watching. I just heard from Margie, the executive producer of the show. This show's been going on for 8 years now. 8 years. And so thank you so much for loyally and faithfully coming back every third Thursday of the month. Thank you for that. We're going to go back to the phones now. We have a winner joining us, Keith of New Mexico. Thanks for joining us, Keith. Go right ahead.
Hey, of the 100 million that's been scammed, what percentage can you tell? Is it from calls from within the U.S. or is it from calls out of country?
Yeah. You know, it is in that identity theft report, they didn't drill down to that. And it is very difficult to kind of even determine where these calls are coming from, because they're using technology with the computers, using voice over internet protocol, right? Like all this stuff they can do. They can ping that phone number from their originating country or state and have it ping all over the world before it finally gets to you. So tracking down these numbers is a very difficult process. And I think what's more important is that we just don't allow them to even get through to us. Again, just don't pick up the phone unless you absolutely know who's calling. You know, we know scams come from everywhere, inside and outside of this country.
And I think that study kind of broke it down to, was it 1 in 80 kids that were victims of online identity theft, and then 1 out of 43 were victims of a data breach.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's tough. What's also concerning with kids, they can steal their identity for years and years and may not know it. And so that's what particularly bad.
Especially young kids.
Yeah.
Especially the really young kids, those that are 3, 4, 5,
Because
6,
they have
7.
no credit, so the criminal can establish the credit and use it until then that child wants to get it for themselves, and it was like, wait, I already have a credit card? Yeah, and that's how they find out.
It's something that really the banking institutions, a lot of people really need to get together.
Absolutely.
A collaborative process has to begin.
And we actually do a bank safe program that we provide. In fact, in Alva, Oklahoma, we had a presentation with some local banks there. Alva, Homer Northwestern. And so that's a great program I'm just really excited about, because we hear so much about elder financial abuse, and the bank safe program really helps educate bank employees on what to watch for, look for regarding scams of our elderly.
They're responsible as well. We all have to look out for
check that out.
Absolutely.
We think it's great. A good place to start.
I love it. This conversation is going well, but you know what it needs? We need to hear from you tonight. 877-283-7570. I'm sure you've got something to add. Phone lines are open right now. You might be a winner. We know that we have 4 coolers left because Keith from New Mexico, you, sir, are a winner. We're going to go back to the phones. Tim from Virginia joins us. Good. Thanks for joining us, Tim. Go right ahead.
Yeah, I just think that the parents, excuse me, the parents ought to get together, like have a pizza night or something, and go over this, this with the especially the teenager kids that are getting ready to go off to college and what have you, and teach them how to keep their stuff a little more private than, you know, letting everybody know their business.
Yeah, that is a fantastic suggestion. Thank you for sharing that with everybody watching tonight, because you're exactly right. Have a pizza party, popcorn party, you know, do it, share the information with the teens, with everybody, and just help them all stay safe. Because honestly, the amount of money that these scammers are taking from our, you know, citizens, our neighbors, I mean, it's astounding, and we all have to pitch in and help out.
877-283-7570. One way to pitch in to help out is to share your story right here with us. After all, you take these stories back to the Fraud Watch Network, and you really focus in on where the fraudsters are going next. You've been ahead of the game so far, so I'm appreciative to have you on every single time. We're going to go back to the phones in a moment. I want to make sure you have the number, 877-283-7570. 7570. Before we do, we left you on a bit of a cliffhanger early on with the celebrity scam.
Yes.
Tell us what happened.
So let me lay this out. So Mr. Gaffigan was coming to Denver, where I live, and doing a charity show. And I was lucky enough to go and watch him. So he had posted something on his social media account, and I just wrote, "Thank you for coming and supporting Children's Hospital." Then about an hour later, I got this direct message, I think we're going to show it up, from someone pretending to be his social online manager, saying how much Mr. Gaffigan appreciated my commentaries, my love and support. He longs for you to write him in person. Now, I know that he does not want, he doesn't long for me to write him. But let me tell you what, like, we can laugh at this, right, because we kind of know who he is, but we probably get about 3 to 4 celebrity imposter scam victims a day.
I'm sorry, so he longs for you to write him in person.
In person, yeah. It doesn't even make sense. Thank you. Oh, and by the way, I happen to be his online manager. But we get celebrity imposter scams all the time. And this one affects teens. We've had many teenagers.
I bet. If that was Justin Bieber, for example,
a lot of wrestlers, country stars, everybody. So this is one to talk about with your teens and your young adults.
Oh, that is so clever. They are getting so smart.
Absolutely, absolutely. And don't forget, when you respond on a social media page of a celebrity or a page that's open, your handle and your information is public viewing for whoever else is a fan of that page. That's how they knew how to reach out to me, because they were able to see that. So just be very careful.
Wow, that's a good one.
Within an hour, huh?
Yeah, within an hour. Yeah.
I could just see my son Eli. You know, he gets Mr. Beast or somebody, one of these
Mr. Beast.
online people that he really looks up to. It would be so heartbreaking.
Yes.
Okay. Wow. We really need to look out for our little ones. 877-283-7570. We're going to Iowa this time for our next winner. Robert joins us.
Great, Robert.
Thanks for joining us, Robert. Go right ahead. Robert, are you with us?
Yeah.
Do you want to share a story with us tonight, Robert? Go right ahead if you do.
Yeah, I do.
Let's hear it.
Yeah, I do. The people call on my cell phone, and they say that they're potential scam. Well, should I keep listening to what they have to say, or should I hang up?
Hang up. 100%. So a lot of cell phone technology has, robocall likely, scam likely, spam alert, spam risk, whatever it is, to give you a heads up that somewhere along the line, this phone number has been identified as a spam, scam, robocall. You don't need to find out what they ask. Hit delete, send all calls, ignore, and then block it. Absolutely.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
We appreciate you calling in, and that's really great advice. Rocky from Florida is next up. Thanks for joining us, Rocky. Go right ahead.
Yes, ma'am. I get several, every week or so, call about my Amazon account. And a charge been made and an order shipped to, I live in Briceville, Florida, so don't say it's coming here. And I usually don't answer the phone unless I know the name, but I've answered it a couple times. First thing they want is personal information. And I say, I've told them a couple times, I do not have an Amazon account. So how do I cancel that? I don't have an Amazon account, but they want personal information. I think that's all they're trying to do, and it's a scam. And I've got that call several times.
Yeah, it's 100% a scam. No question about it, especially if you don't have an Amazon account, right? Amazon's not going to call you. And they have millions and millions of subscribers and users. They do not have the time to call you and tell you that there's a problem. If there ever is a problem with an Amazon account that you legitimately have, It'll be in your Amazon account, in your personal My Account area. Don't respond to any of those text messages, phone calls, or emails. I mean, we hear about this all the time on the helpline.
I bet.
Do they know about our helpline?
Oh, that's
well, let's talk about it. So, AARP,
Yeah.
thank you for that nice little plug there. AARP Fraud Watch Network has a free helpline for anyone of any age, and you do not have to be an AARP member. 877-908-3360, and we have trained fraud specialists who will help walk you through any scam situation. Even if you just got a scam and you want AARP to know about it, to help warn others, call us. We want to hear from you.
Yeah. Yep. You're helping somebody out.
Absolutely.
It's like I always talk about with the FCC. Nothing gets reported unless somebody calls in to complain.
Right. Yeah.
So it's very important to share information like this.
That's what's always great to have Amy on, because she's on the front lines every day hearing what's new.
Yeah.
What's new?
But you're here to reinforce what she's saying, because you're hearing it from your members as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, we're going to go back to the phones in just a moment, but there are some good companies that are also falling victim to scammers. There's a T-Mobile scam happening right now. I love T-Mobile. What's going on?
Let's take a look. It's another shady one we got to be careful with.
Yeah, look at that.
Does it look familiar to you? Free rewards, exclamation mark, red flag. Take survey now. I want you to click on that link.
Yeah.
Another red flag. So I think it's just helpful showing these spoofing.
Yeah, these examples.
And it really just shows how they can look so authentic.
Yeah.
And but it's a red flag.
Yeah, and this one is very, very popular right now. We probably get about maybe 5 complaints a day on the helpline about this one in particular. So, so pay attention and share this with your grandkids.
You know, I'd be interested to know as well, where are they targeting you? Are they targeting your text messages? Are they targeting your emails right now? Are you getting more phone calls than you used to? It seems like for me, emails are the place right now. I used to get a lot more phone calls. I got smart about some of the ways to block those calls. But let us know. 877-283-7570 is the number to call. Tina joins us from Michigan tonight. A little chilly up there in Michigan. Thanks for joining us. Go right ahead.
Well, thank you very much. Yeah, Michigan, well, where we're at in Southwest Michigan has about a foot of snow. So about all we do is play on our phones.
Yeah.
Did you want to share?
Was to say thank you. Yeah, thank you so much for the suggestion of setting my phone so that I'm not going to get as many scam calls or as much false information, because as a senior, I have several grandchildren. They're going to find out about this tomorrow as well. But we get so many scam calls with our Medicare, Medicaid, and all of the good things that the government does offer us. And I'm certain that my kids are going to be very happy to hear that there's a way to adjust their telephones, as you suggested.
Yeah,
I would like to know what kind of scams that you're talking about. I noticed you mentioned T-Mobile, some of the various television streaming services. What else can my grandkids look for if they're getting scammed?
Wow, what a great question.
Gift cards.
Yeah, absolutely, gift cards. So if they're doing any shopping online or any shopping via social media, we're hearing a lot, because there's like influencers, things that I don't even pay attention to, but trust me, the kids know about it. And they sell things. We had a victim last week who bought some things, and she paid for these products with prepaid gift cards. No legitimate company like this is going to ask for a prepaid gift card for these items. The reason criminals want them is because they're virtually untraceable. So if your grandchild says, "Grandma, can you help me buy a prepaid gift card?" ask a lot of questions. Social media is really where it's at for the kids, and the text messages. That's when we have kids call us on the helpline, that's what we hear about, and that's where their scammers are meeting them.
Yeah, I think charity scams, especially this time of year.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that a third of Americans donate to charities in the month of December. Well, the scammers know that too. So you're going to see a real uptick in charities. Go to Charity Watch, Charity Navigator, determine if that's a legitimate charity or not.
You know, we're talking about kids. My son, for example, he goes to a private daycare, and so he's always wearing clothing that has that insignia on it. I think it's important as well to keep in mind we don't want to post those sorts of pictures online because that's
what school they're
exactly.
Yes.
We got to really watch out for every aspect. I do think it's hard though with the social media. And then you got like Snapchat. You have all these different apps that pop up. How do you stay in front of it? I've got to ask you, Amy.
I don't know if I always do, but having the conversation is what's important, right? Just like Tina said, she's going to talk to her grandkids and kids tomorrow about this. We have a big holiday next week. Perfect opportunity to go through this. You know, sometimes at the Thanksgiving table, we like to ask like fun questions of, you know, our family, like, what's your favorite color? What's your favorite food? Ask them, what was the latest scam that targeted you? Right? Like, have you ever found a scam online? Like, ask these questions.
Forget
and engage
the weather.
them.
That's the move. I love that.
That's it, right?
That is
ask
so
these
smart.
questions. Engage your teens with these questions.
Anybody. You can ask anybody at the airport,
Absolutely.
you know, fire up a conversation that way.
Yeah.
She comes with it, doesn't she?
She's got it every day, front lines.
We're going back to the phones. I want to make sure you have the number to call, though. 877-283-7570. You still have an opportunity to win. Tina was a winner. We're going to bring Norman from Illinois in on this conversation now. Thanks for joining us, Norman. Go right ahead.
It's not exactly a scam as such, but people need to be reminded. So many people make postings on their Facebook accounts when they go on trips or vacations. They're telling everybody in the world that has access to their Facebook accounts that they're a long ways from home and they're going to be there for a while. So their home is empty and people are very likely, if they want to break into their house and steal their things.
Good.
They need to, wait until actually get back home and then tell about their trip, but don't tell it while they're away.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, share those pictures, right, when you're home, when you're home. And maybe ask a neighbor to, like, watch your house when you're going out of town, just to drive by. This is another thing we hear about on the helpline when it comes to obituary notices. That's another thing. If you're posting a lot of information in the obituary, you're opening yourself up to not just scammers knowing more information about you, but knowing that during that time, there might not be anybody at your house.
Yeah. And, you know, in rural America, we don't have neighbors per se as normally they do in the suburban areas. But Amy brings up a great point. Because we look out for one another in rural America. Let your neighbors know they will make the 12-mile drive down that long country road to check on your place because they care about you. So we just have to communicate.
And they want to feel needed. Your neighbors would love to do that for you.
They would, because then when you need that cup of sugar, you're going to get it. Okay, we're going to go back to the phones in just a moment. 877-283-7570 is the number to call. We are moving into the holidays, so let's talk about holiday scams.
Yeah. Well, Sean mentioned the charity one. That's a big one. Make sure you know who you are donating to. Also, Christina, you mentioned it with the FedEx. We are expecting to have packages delivered to us. So when we get a text message that says your package is delayed, it's having a problem, click here. That is a big scam, but because we're expecting them, we want to click. That's not how they'll work. They'll work from, usually you'll get the notice from the person you bought the item from, not the carrier, right? And so always go to the place you bought the item first, not the carrier. Also, look-alike online stores, especially when it comes to the hot gifts or the hot sneakers or whatever it is. People will go into a search engine and look for that product, and they'll be led to fake websites. Now, just remember, the red flag with that is they will always have the item in stock. They will always have every color, every size. If this is the hot item, that's not going to be that way. And they will ask for a payment in non-traditional form, like crypto, peer-to-peer, prepaid gift card. And then finally, one of the things that we're seeing a lot, not just around the holidays, but it does an uptick, is these fraudulent online job advertisements. So they'll say, you know, the USPS needs a lot of extra help. We can get you in, just pay us money. We'll get you this holiday job. And people are losing thousands of dollars to these scams. So we always have to stay vigilant, but during the holidays, we're always with the hustle and the bustle, and sometimes we let our guards down. This is not the time.
No, the ether. You always talk about the ether.
I was going to say the ether, holiday ether.
Yeah,
Holiday
the holiday
ether.
ether. I mean, the eggnog and the candy canes, right?
And where's my package? I should have ordered it earlier.
I know.
You know, for me. Okay, we're going to go back to the phones. Marilyn of Utah joins us now. Thanks for joining the conversation. Marilyn, go right ahead.
Hi. I have always read that when your children are little, to go into the Social Security Administration website and set them up an account, and that can deter identity thieves by doing that. Is that true?
So it's, I believe what you're talking about, Marilyn, is the My Social Security account. We should all be doing that. Most of us already have one established if we're getting notices from Social Security on our earnings. But since most of these children don't have earnings yet with their Social Security, just go to ssa.gov and look for that information to see if it is applicable for kids. I have not heard that, but I bet you probably could set them up with a My Social Security account.
Okay. And on that note, we are going to pause for a quick break, but that gives you an opportunity to pick up your phone and join our conversation. You still have an opportunity to be a winner tonight. 877-283-7570. We'll be right back. We still have one cooler to give away. Give us a call. It could be yours. Join our conversation. We know that this is helpful information, and you probably have something to add that we haven't heard just yet. Please give us a call, 877-283-7570, before we run out of time. We'll be right back with more Rural America Live with AARP right after this. Welcome back. We have a cooler to give away, so we're not going to waste any time. We're going to go right to the phones and hear from you, 877-283-7570. There's still time. Donna from Iowa joins us now. Thanks for joining us, Donna. Go right ahead.
Okay. The problem I have had is they're trying to charge me to my PayPal account. And I don't have a PayPal account for this security for my computer.
Yeah. Donna, it's a scam.
Yes.
100%. It's a scam. Delete it, trash it, ignore it. Just like Christina said earlier, the criminals are using really good company names to impersonate these legitimate companies to make you think that you owe them money. If you do not have a PayPal account, how can PayPal try to get money from you? They make it seem very scary, but it is one of the most popular imposter scams right now. So just delete it, trash it, ignore it.
Correct.
Can I say it any clearer?
That's pretty clear.
Okay.
I got it.
It's true. I mean, the last thing you want to do is give money to a fraudster, right?
Yeah.
I can think of a lot of better places I'd like to put my money. It's interesting. You brought up the charities. Charities don't usually get really aggressive about asking for money, but if they're scammers, they might. So that's something people want to look out for as well. If you keep getting the American Red Cross and they're getting pushy with you, it's probably something's up.
Well, and we call this open season as well because it's Medicare open enrollment through December 7th. And so there's always an uptick on, are these legitimate Medicare or Medigap plans or Medicare Advantage plans? And so, you know, just be real careful. Medicare, those plans aren't going to call you. And what's really important is you can get some unbiased information through the state health insurance counseling program. Every state has one. And they will help you determine what's the best Medicare plan or option for you. But again, we call it open season. It's like, oh my gosh, everyone's getting inundated. We get calls about it.
Scammers follow the headlines.
Follow the headlines.
And follow the current events. They know what's happening, and so they'll use it to their advantage.
Lots of advertising out there, but if you're getting calls and texts about it, beware.
You know what I do like, though? It's like the scammers, they usually didn't go to Harvard. You know, they're not usually going to end up being doctors. So we usually can have one over on the guy on the other end. If you really do your due diligence and look, you really have to look.
Yeah, you have to look, but they do get you really excitable.
Oh, they do.
I wish there was a magic wand, but as I, have said, I've been doing this for 20 years, and that wand still hasn't existed yet. So every day we have to learn more about how to protect ourselves and our families, because they will not stop.
Yeah, these guys are professionals, but even the professionals can't get one over on Amy Knopfziger, and I love that.
They're trying. They're trying.
I'm going to come back to you because I do want to talk about romance scams. A lot of people are lonely around the holidays, and it's hard. It's hard to be alone at Christmas time or Thanksgiving, and so when someone's reaching out to you, that ether comes up. So we'll come back to that, but first, Joe of New Jersey has been hanging on the line patiently in the Northeast tonight. Thanks for joining us, Joe. Go right ahead.
Hi, I'm Joe from New Jersey. I actually have a story about how I was scammed. A couple years back, I received some sort of what I now know is a phishing email from someone from Portugal. My family's from Portugal, and this person claimed to be from Portuguese wealth. And they were claiming that they needed some money. And they had pictures of themselves that they attached to the email, and they looked just like me and my family. And I ended up losing hundreds of dollars to these people before I realized anything was wrong in the first place. And these scammers are just terrible, terrible people.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that story. Yeah. And you were not alone. We actually had a victim, I believe it was a couple of weeks ago, who received a very similar email saying that somebody with her exact last name that had no heirs passed away. And they wanted someone with her same last name because they thought there was like a relative to have this money. But of course, she needed to prepay, right? You gotten the same thing.
I got the same thing.
Yeah. I mean, we all want good things to happen to us. We would love to have some long-lost relative.
Some long-lost Voskuhl?
Yes. Yeah, some long-lost Knopfziger and Voskuhl, right, to give us money. But the thing is, it's not really going to happen, and they will never ask for money up front if it is legitimate.
We thank you so much for that call, Joe. Thanks for sharing that story with us tonight, and you're a winner. Congratulations. You get a cooler. That leaves a line open for you. We want to hear from you. We still have time. 877-283-7570. Let's go back to the romance, if we will, because it is important to really hit on this and to make sure that if your friends aren't aware of these romance scams going around, your grandchildren even, they need to be.
Thank you for bringing up the grandchildren, because people don't understand that romance scams, new friendship scams, these dating scams are happening to young adults. And it's devastating to them. It's devastating. They meet someone online, there's a lot of flattery,
Yes.
And the next thing you know, they're extorting money from these kids.
Or pictures, even worse.
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
No, it is really, really bad. And, you know, with mental health in these kids and what they have to deal with already, I have talked to many young adults, and it is heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking for everybody. So, I mean, watch out. I'd like to say it. If they're overly flattering you, I mean, you know, we all know we're beautiful, loving people, but come on. If they're giving you poetry the first time, stop. Stop.
Especially if it's misspelled.
Right, especially if it's misspelled. Or Jim Gaffigan wants me to write a letter in person, right? Like, whatever it is, just stop. You don't want someone who doesn't know how to spell these words as your love. So talk about it, right? Like, talk about it. Like, on these dating apps that these kids are going on, we're seeing a lot of them being victimized there. And same with older adults. I mean, the biggest red flag of all of these romance scams, they ask for money. You do not want to date somebody that is asking you for money.
Not on the first date.
Do you ever? No. I mean, there would have to be a binding piece of paper for someone to ask me for money. Now we know how Sean operates.
877-283-7570 is the number to call. You can see why someone was looking for another Voskell. Okay, one of a kind. So before we go back to the phones, I do want to talk a little bit more about names like Netflix, like Geek Squad. These are good companies, but there are emails that you have to be aware of. I was talking to Amy and Sean before the show started. I'm getting these text messages now where someone will just say, hello.
Yes.
Hello. And I'm like, okay, is this someone who maybe found my
Who
phone
are you?
number?
So what they want is for you to respond and say hi, basically, because, you know, we're so busy throughout the day and we get a message that's like, hey, you know, how are you? Yeah. And you think, oh my gosh, did I not put this contact in my phone? I don't know who this is.
Yes.
So all of a sudden the relationship starts. We have actually seen some of the craziest ones with these. I even myself got one time. I was out on a walk and the talk to text came through my ear and it's like, hey, Dr. So-and-so, you know, Fozzie is sick. I need to get him in for a vet appointment. And I'm like on the walk and I'm like, oh my gosh, if my dog were sick. So I responded back and I said, sorry, you have the wrong number. And I hope your dog's okay. Next thing you know, they write me back. And all of a sudden I was like, I think we're involved in a scam right now. And we've gotten complaints on these. And then what happens is they say they want you to invest in cryptocurrency.
Ooh.
Yes, and these are the start of investment scams. So yes, they're happening.
You know, I heard this something disturbing the other day of ransomware attacks on schools for kids.
Yeah.
And
really?
Can you think about holding, you know, people think about their seniors in high school, going to, whether it's their personal identification, their address, their grades. I mean, I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I mean.
And wondering what that person on the other end has. Because with ransomware, it's usually they're getting into your computer, they're pulling out something that they know they can hang over your head, which is why you do not want to leave your computer exposed. So Kenneth from North Carolina is joining us now. Thank you for joining us, Kenneth. What would you like to share tonight?
But I have these people. Me and my wife is disabled, and we have these guys, people that call it all day long and all. And there's one particular that calls about 10 times a day. And I've checked that he's got more than one number that he uses and all. It must be on some kind of recording thing, but. He calls all the time. Is there any way we can keep these people from calling us all day long? Is there any way we can put it on all we got now is our home phone, and I'm just wondering, is there any way that we could keep them from calling all this time?
Yeah. I mean, we are all getting these phone calls, and it is super frustrating. You know, when you're at home, the phone rings, you always think it's going to be something good, something positive. Not anymore, right? It's these scammers. So there's not one solution that always works, but there's a couple of things you can try. Certainly reach out to your phone company and ask them. You pay them, right? To ask them what they can do to stop these numbers coming into your phone. Don't pick up the phone. Let it go to voicemail or just let it ring. And I know that that can be a nuisance, but I've even had people tell me that sometimes during the day, when they're not expecting a phone call, they just turn their ringer off. But maybe if you don't have a voicemail or an answering machine or someone in your life doesn't, with the holidays coming up, besides that cooler, you can get them an answering machine and just let all calls go to the voicemail.
That's a great idea.
My mom was having this problem, and so we went to Best Buy. I believe it was Best Buy or Office Depot. Semantics. But anyhow, we got an answering machine for her. We programmed it. It's a phone, a normal phone that you would have in your house, plugs right into the wall. But what happens is she only puts the numbers in of the people that she wants to hear from. And therefore, if anybody else tries to call, it's not going to come through. And so that worked for her. But there are devices that have been created for this as well. All right, thank you so much for that call. 877-283-7570 is the number to call. But it's like you talk about, you just don't answer it. But that can be tricky too.
You may be on a landline.
It can be tricky to not answer the phone, because a lot of people will say to me, well, what if it's my doctor's office calling me? What if it's someone I want to talk to? Your doctor will leave you a voicemail. And usually you can hear the message being left as the person is leaving it. So it's like you can go and grab it at that point if it is your doctor's office. Maybe it is someone inviting you to a big Thanksgiving celebration. Then go grab the phone. But if it's not, just let it go to voicemail. And what that does is it just shows the scammers that you're in charge of your phone, not them.
We have a few moments left. Before we go to final thoughts, I want to give you, we're all parents. You're both parents. Talk about personally why it's so important to you to keep your kids and the other kids out there in this country safe right now.
Well, it's just the amount of money and time to try to get your identity back is just really multiplied with children. And you want to keep them safe. And it's just so scary out there. And I think we want to do the right thing. They sometimes need to get online to do their homework and connect, but we really got to set those boundaries of what's appropriate and what's not. Keep that communication line open with your kids. Let them know. Is someone asking to friend you that you don't know? They're asking to meet up somewhere or where you live. I mean, it's just really scary out there, and we just have to keep our communication lines open and protect them as much as we can.
And we have them in the car seat. We have them wear the seatbelt. We take them to the doctor's appointments. We have so much going on with our kids that I think sometimes this conversation goes to the bottom of importance. But with the stories I've heard and the pain that I've heard from these teens and these young adults that are suffering from these scams, this is something that we need to rise to the top. This needs to be one of those conversations, just like your physical safety. We need kids to understand their financial safety as well, because it's not just the money loss, it's the loss of trust, safety and security. And the kids don't have that much money. But guess what? That $10 that the scammer might steal, that's a lot to them and can be devastating.
Oh, devastating. It's mental health that you have to look out for after that as well. So many things to consider. We want to thank you so much for joining us for this important conversation tonight. This is our final show of the year with AARP, but they're going to be back next year every third Thursday of the month with more great information to share with you. I want to thank you personally for joining us. For those of you who called, we look forward to hearing from you every time we do this broadcast. We'll see you right here next third Thursday of the month. Wishing you a beautifully blessed night.